I was 12 when it happened, a night that forever etched itself into the darkest corners of my memory. Moving to my dad's place at 10 had already been a whirlwind, uprooting my life and leaving me adrift in a new town where every face was unfamiliar. The only solace was the tight-knit group of my dad's friends, a small circle that became my makeshift family. Among them was a girl named Emily, a few years older than me, whose presence offered a semblance of stability in an otherwise unsettling transition. Emily lived with her single mother and her younger brother, Jamie. We weren't best friends, but over the years, our paths intertwined, and we became part of the same social fabric. It was a typical autumn evening, the air crisp with the promise of winter, when things took a turn into the realm of nightmares. Our friend Rob had been hanging out at Emily's house that night, along with her younger brother. Their mother was at work, leaving the siblings alone, or so it seemed. Emily's mother had been assisting a woman named Linda through her job, offering support and companionship. Through this, Emily had grown close to Linda's sister, a bond that would unknowingly set the stage for horror. The evening was quiet, the kind of silence that blankets a house when everyone is asleep, or pretending to be. Rob, always the adventurous one, decided to stay over, oblivious to the shadows lurking just beyond the familiar walls. As midnight approached, the house seemed to hold its breath. The usual creaks and groans of an old home amplified in the stillness. Then came the knock. Soft, deliberate rapping that Emily's mother often used when returning home. Trusting the routine, Emily opened the door without a second thought. But this wasn't her mother. Standing on the threshold was Linda's sister, a woman recently released from a mental institution, her eyes wild and desperate. She had traced their location through conversations, piecing together the rhythm of their lives, like a predator stalking its prey. Panic surged through Emily as the stranger stepped inside, her presence immediately unsettling. I remember the way the light seemed to dim, shadows creeping along the walls, as if the house itself recoiled from the intruder. Jamie, sensing the danger, bolted to the neighbor's house, his small frame disappearing into the night, to call the police. But there was no time to react, to escape. What followed was a blur of terror. The assailant moved with a frightening purpose, her intentions clear and horrifying. Emily's screams echoed through the house, a sound that would haunt my dreams for years to come. Rob, in a frantic attempt to flee, dashed through the window, his heart pounding as he raced towards the safety of his own home. But he couldn't save her. A week from Christmas, a time usually filled with joy and light, tragedy struck. Emily was brutally murdered, her body discovered in the bathtub, decapitated, her head grotesquely separated from her body. The sight was so horrific that it seemed impossible. Yet there it was, a stark reminder of the night's unspeakable horror. The killer had hidden her head among the presents, a macabre message wrapped in festive paper. The aftermath was a blur of grief and fear. I wasn't allowed to attend her funeral, the authorities deeming it too traumatic for someone so young. The house felt empty without Emily, each room a silent witness to the nightmare that unfolded within its walls. Friends distanced themselves, unable to comprehend the depth of the tragedy. leaving me with a lingering sense of isolation and sorrow. Years have passed, but the memory of that night remains vivid, a shadow that darkens even the brightest of days. The fear of the unknown, the unpredictability of evil, and the fragility of life are lessons etched into my soul. Listening to this story, I hope you feel the chill that still runs down my spine, the haunting echo of screams in the stillness of the night. It's a reminder that darkness can sometimes hide behind the most familiar faces, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. In the weeks that followed, the neighborhood was engulfed in a somber haze. Whispers filled the air, speculation running rampant about the identity and motive of Emily's killer. Some said it was revenge. Others whispered about her mother's connection with Linda and her sister. But no one could shake the fear that the darkness that had taken Emily was still lurking, watching, waiting. I remember the nights becoming longer, the silence heavier. Sleep eluded me as I replayed the events over and over, searching for answers that never came. The once comforting darkness of night now felt like a veil hiding unspeakable horrors. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind outside sent my heart racing. Convinced that the nightmare wasn't truly over, Rob tried to act brave, distancing himself from the memories. But I could see the fear in his eyes. He'd often find himself staring blankly into the distance, haunted by the night he had to flee and the friend he couldn't save. Our shared trauma created an unspoken bond, a mutual understanding of the fragility of our innocence. Emily's absence was a void that nothing could fill. Her laughter, her presence, the way she made even the darkest days seem bearable, gone in an instant. The house where it all happened stood silent, its windows like dark eyes watching over the memories trapped within. Sometimes, on quiet nights, I swear I can hear her voice, a ghostly whisper reminding me that some shadows never truly fade. As Christmas approached the following year, the town tried to move on. But for those of us left behind, the holiday became a stark reminder of what was lost. The decorations couldn't mask the grief, and the lights couldn't dispel the darkness that had settled in our hearts. Every present, every song, every festive cheer was tinged with the memory of that brutal night. In the end, the story remains a haunting testament to the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of evil. It's a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying horrors aren't found in ghost stories or legends, but in the very real, very personal tragedies that strike without warning. And as I share this story, I hope it serves as a cautionary tale, a whisper in the dark that reminds us to cherish the light before the shadows reclaim it.